attendance. Rob, is there anything on the agenda that you would like to specifically comment on, and we will fit you in that time slot? Is there something that we do not have on the agenda which you would like to hear about?
Well, I must confess that I have not seen the agenda, so I don't know if I should comment on anything. I'm just here usually for the just for points of information.
Okay, well,
and as you all know, I'm interested in the traffic thing, but there's no point in bringing it up because you know I'm interested and
well, that is quite all right. And I will, in our new business, I will mention something briefly on that score. Thank you, Matthew, for joining. If that's the case, we will stay with the agenda as it is. First order of business is to review and approve the minutes of February 7th. I trust those of us present have had a chance to read and review those. Are there any comments? If not, is someone willing to make a motion on that?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of February 7th.
Thank you. I will second that for you. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
And I will abstain.
Yep.
You weren't here. Okay, thank you. That's good to note. One abstention, but we still have, well, wait a minute.
No, you're good. You got
Yeah, we have three of us.
Yeah.
Okay. Counting. Okay, so let's quickly look at looking at our bills here. If we can take the payroll warrant first. This is in the amount of $11,218.98. There is nothing unusual on here. It's all pretty standard. There are the typical payroll taxes and payroll company fees. So I don't see anything unusual.
Would make a motion that we approve the payroll warrant, $11,218.98.
Thank you. That was moved.
I'll second that.
Seconded Matthew. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. No one is abstaining from that. Next thing we can look at is the late February warrant. Let me look at Doug's notes real quick to see if he had made any comments on this one. Don't see it. There is pretty standard things on here. The fleet mobile, that's the fuel, salt, power bills, the West Oil. We certainly know that the fuel bills are much higher. When we budgeted this was, well, but way before the fuel was doing what it is. So those are higher than we expected. So this late warrant is in the amount of 14,000. Is that 665?
Yes.
$665.53. Is there any comments or questions on these items? Yes, Robert.
I have a question. If the heating bill comes as an increase greater than we had budgeted, do we take the funds out of a slush fund, or do we have
No.
a fund? So what happens then?
We will either, when all is said and done at the end of the fiscal year, you net all of the department expenses together. If they're over on one line and under on another, the whole
Okay.
department still falls within budget. Otherwise, you run at a deficit for
Okay.
that particular place.
Thank you.
Certainly, good question. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve this late warrant?
I moved
moved.
it. Yep, I'll second.
Okay,
Got it.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Then the last one would be the regular warrant for this month. I can tell you that there's an e-enable bill on here for $1,190. This is for laptop and setup for the laptop that is now the zoning administrators. So we now have a standard email for zoning at villagenorthbennington.org. Oops, hold on. I gotta admit somebody. And that will then go with whomever is the zoning administrator from now until the end of time. So we did set that up. So again, that laptop and all the contents go with whomever is the zoning administrator. Everything is backed up to the cloud for safety and security. So that is in there. The graded school district is just remitting taxes that have come in. Property and casualty is a quarter, the 1/4 of insurance, some of which will be reimbursed by the water department. The total of this is $27,168.35, if I'm reading that.
66.
Thank you.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded here. Oops. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we can move along. Okay. We have folks joining us here from Vermont Arts Exchange and the Sage City Syndicate. They are slotted to go under the new business. We will put them in as soon as we can. What I'd like to do is just address very quickly a highway report. I did send this out. Norm sent in a written report. I sent that out just for those in attendance. One of the big projects coming up is Overley Road. There is significant culvert work. This is a $200,000 plus project. We have culvert ordered. The road will be closed for up to 2 weeks. This is not expected to break ground down there until probably August, but there's a lot of planning that needs to be done. There's been a lot of work with engineering, with the water folks, the state folks, the river people, Green Mountain Power. Green Mountain Power will be putting in some temporary power supplies. Once this goes, they're going to be dropping on some temporary lights to light the area. Huge amount of work that will be done. So Norm can keep us apprised of that. The road grader, go ahead, Matthew, did you have a
Can
question?
you just, for everybody's sake, explain the finances of this project?
This project is, I cannot remember which governmental entity gave us this project. This is one of 3 sources that the village does look at for culvert grants. There's the Better Roads, there's the one that deals with the hydrologically connected roads, and then this one is, I don't have my file in front of me, so
Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but just what percentage of this are we paying for? I guess.
Oh, I beg your pardon. That's a good question. We pay 20%. Most of these grants that we get are 20%. So the grant that we will be awarded is up to $200,000. So we will have a minimum of $20,000 in this project. Some of it will be in-kind work. And you'll recall that we have a very huge dump truck or grader, whatever, that one piece of equipment. Do you remember what that one?
A grader.
Yeah, that
We
big.
talked about
No, that not the grader. The other one. There's a big machine that that Norm picked up on the surplus market. We're going to use it for this project because we can get our in-kind match on that, and then it's going to go to sale. So that will be significant funds coming in to the village to offset this or other projects that are needed. The water department and the highway department have had a really nice joint meeting working together to do paving that should happen. We hope it will be completed by the end of May, if not middle of May, and it will be Pleasant Street and all of Prospect, from the bottom from Main Street all the way to the top of Prospect. There are galvanized water lines that the water department, 4 on each road, that the water department will be replacing. We are going to have public meetings inviting all residents of both of these roads together to talk about the project, what's involved, let those homeowners know where their water lines are being replaced. They could take this opportunity if they have galvanized on their end of the system to go ahead and replace it now at very low cost, while the excavators are already there and basically we're paying for them. So I think that's a good collaboration that should be really good and a nice visible project that both departments jointly do for the residents. More on that as soon as we get firm up the timeline. The other thing that the highway department is working on is Hall Street and Park Street. We had talked about those two roads as being really in need of some significant work. These are huge projects that are going to require, hold on. Ed, could you, here, let's mute right there. That are going to require a lot of work. Norm and I are working with BCRC's help to do a request for proposal to get engineering estimates on what the projects would cost just from an engineering point of view. And then we have to look for grants because these will be very big, probably Norm figures in the $100,000 to $200,000 range to do everything that's needed. And then Norm's last comment was that he would invite trustees to stop by the garage and come chat, look at what he's doing at any time. Any other questions or things that I should relay back to Norm on his report? If not, we will go right to Chief Harrington on the fire department. Ed, the floor is yours.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, you guys have the paper in front of you that was sent to all of you?
We have a number of things, yes, but there is the estimate, this Fluent IMS estimate of $12,000 per year. Well, one is a one-time setup fee, but then there is $1,100 of annual ongoing cost. Is that correct?
Did you say 12,000?
No, 1,200. If I did say
okay.
My mistake.
Yes, but that'll drop down to 1,100 once the
yes. The one thing is one time.
Right.
Yeah. And go ahead. So please, for record here, tell us what this is.
That is the tone that goes over will go over the phones. That's what that is. And it's going to offset the other our own tone system that we have to go to because Bennington County Mutual Aid is getting rid of theirs.
Okay.
And I think the vice chair, I think she can speak up about this also because she was there at the last meeting.
Kara, is there something that you could? I think Ed is asking for your comment.
I'm not the vice chair.
Oh, okay. You ran the meeting last time. I'm sorry.
I know. No, that was out of necessity. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with the notes and pay attention to what was asked. Ask me the question again.
They want information about the gentleman that came over and talked about the communication system that we have to switch over to.
You can tell us, Ed. You're welcome to tell us.
Oh, yes. She wrote down the information. What it is that the PD, when they put the tone in, it will come over our phones.
Okay. Please, for those of us who don't know, and for the public, what is a tone?
It'll come over our phone and then you're going to the firehouse You're
I know, but
going,
what is a tone? What is the,
A
is it an
tone
alert?
is, yeah, it's an alert system that
System,
contacts each of the members of the fire department or any of the first responder aides that need to be contacted when an alarm for something goes off.
right. And then that will come over our phone. And then so we know who's responding. If you're not responding, you hit not responding. If you're coming to the firehouse, you would hit come to the firehouse, and it'll tell us how far they're away. So we can either wait or respond if people are too far away.
Okay,
So
so
it's
this
it's
is,
a benefit to the department.
yes, of course. So this is an app on everyone's phone
Right.
so that you can do more tracking. And then if I recall, you also have access then to reports
Yes.
after each call or whenever you want
That's
to
correct.
be able to pull who's been able to respond and look at a number of other things. Now,
Correct.
you said this app itself doesn't replace anything, does it? It's just an addition to.
The app is, yes, it's an addition. Yes.
Right. And then you had mentioned, if I recall at the last meeting, that you have an agreement with Shaftesbury to use their, what do you call it, frequency?
What we're going to do is we're going to split the cost of they're going to get the same frequency as us, and we're just going to split the cost, but that's further down the road. This is something that I want to do now.
Okay, but didn't you say that Bennington has already changed their, I'll call it frequency for lack of,
Correct.
okay.
Bennington,
So you have to have your radio thing working, correct?
correct.
And right now, since Bennington changed their, is that the right word for it? Radio frequency?
Channel, yeah.
Channel.
Correct.
So what channel do you use now, Ed?
We use the county channel.
Okay,
The thing I'm asking you to approve tonight is only the cell phone part, because we have to wait to get the license from the FCC before we can move forward with that. So the
well,
only thing
that's-
I'm asking you for tonight is the approval of the thing you have in front of you.
okay. But before we do things piecemeal, what I'm trying to understand is the whole picture. So I agree, this is a nice app to have on your phones, but when we just do our costs piecemeal, we kind of lose track of the whole picture. Because while $1,100 or $1,200 is not insurmountable, it is not budgeted, at least this year.
We have the funds.
Where?
Communications. You have 2,000, I think like $2,500 in communications.
Unused from this year?
Yes. And then moving forward, because we got rid of the cell phones that the village used to pay for the
Okay,
for the chiefs, that can be offset by using those funds to pay for this year.
okay, so what cell phones is this app now gonna go on?
I'm not getting you.
Okay, so you're looking for this Fluent IMS application that goes on your cell phones,
Correct.
but but you're not using the AT&T service that we used to pay for. So what cell service do you use?
We kept the AT&T service. The village is just not paying for that anymore. We are paying for that ourselves.
Okay, when you say yourselves, you mean personally or how?
Personally.
Okay,
It's just toning to their personal phones.
Right.
okay,
And
It
how
gives
many?
it gives us a better understanding who's coming and who isn't coming, and gives
I
us more.
totally agree. I'm just trying to understand, this is only one small part, or not small, one important part of your whole communication system. Now I understand the cell phones. I didn't know that before. So you have your own personal cell phones This app goes on your personal cell phone. The
Yes.
next piece of it that at some point we should know is, what does it cost to get a license for your, oh, Tara, did you want to say something?
Well, you were getting to the question I was planning to ask.
Go ahead, please do.
It was exactly that. So Ed, we're trying to figure out what the cost of the channel change is going to be. And do you have a projection for what that's going to cost? Because we know it's coming, but we want to be able to take that into account when we're thinking about budgets. Do you know?
Correct. If Shasbury's going to split it with us, so it's probably going to be the program, the portables, and the pagers and all that. You're probably looking about $5,000, so maybe $2,500.
And that's a one-time cost?
That's a one-time cost. We're only doing it like we're trying to get off Berkshire County because
It's too busy.
it's too busy.
Yeah.
No, and
This thing that we're talking about now is separate from the channel.
Right.
Agreed.
It's the same thing, but we don't have to wait to get this until the channel comes.
No, so Ed, we're trying to just make sure that when we are talking about two different projects, that one is projected for the future and one is for now-ish, that we have the money and the finances to do both, because we know the channel has to happen.
Yes.
And the app is more of an optional thing, which really modernizes the whole system. But we want to make sure that we can afford both, and we take that into account. Previously, you had said there were 25 phones on the line.
There's they only do 30 and 20.
Okay.
So we
So
do have
did
some
you-
extras.
Did you guys go? Yeah. Did you guys go for 30? Okay.
And
I will say this, that it takes 8 to 10 months to get your license. So you're looking after your budget season it's going to be it could be 2024 before this even happens.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And believe me, I'm not trying to say that weigh in on the merits of this. I totally agree. It's a wonderful tool, but I think we as a board, it's our obligation to know not only what we have now, but what we're facing later, and especially those things that are ongoing. So from year to year, are there fees for this license?
No, we're not paying for the license. Bennington County Mutual Aid is paying for the license. You're not paying for that.
Okay.
So
We're
what
just-
is
we're going to pay-
Shasbury,
Yeah.
what is Shasbury and North Bennington paying for with the 5,000?
That is you're programming all the new radios in the trucks, the chief's car, portables, pagers.
It just gets
It
the
runs
whole
about, I
system
think it's $50 per pager or $50 for a portable and $25 for a pager.
And that happens only when you do get the license for that frequency?
Correct.
Okay. So when did we stop paying for your cell phone?
In August.
Okay. So that had to been, how much were we paying the village for phones?
I can't answer that. You have to
Well,
talk to,
I can tell you that we used to prepay them. There would be a flat request for either $300 or $600. It would come in every now and then, but there was a significant credit on that account at one point in time.
Okay.
I don't know how it ended up,
it's-
but
it's not my bill. I can't answer the questions on that cell phone bills.
Right.
It's not in my name, so I can't
No.
answer.
but I'm
So
okay. I'm okay if there was a credit that went back to help support, the other phones, but yes.
So
At one point, there was a $600 credit on that AT&T bill.
so it sounds like you're not asking for a whole lot for this immediate access to this technology on everybody's personal phone. And then 2 years from now, you'll get the license for everything to have,
2024.
right. Year and a half, whatever. So And you're saying that this year in your budget, and I don't have it in front of me, but you have a communications budget, right? For,
Yes.
and how much is in that budget?
Something like 2,500.
Yeah, $2,120.
And in this fiscal year, then, the cost for the app, as you call it, that everybody will have access so they can get toned, is how much?
1,200 for the setup, and then
Yep.
it'll be 1,100 yearly to maintain it.
Okay. So it seems like the money's there in that budget, unless it was taken from that to cover some of these other unexpected
No,
costs.
we did not do that.
So then
I know that we did not.
then I think it's a no-brainer. And when we come around to them getting the license and they have to pay that component, that'll be next year's communications budget, right? Because they're going to pay 2,500 or so to share with Shaftesbury.
That's an estimate. I mean, it could be come in at 6, I'm just saying that's an estimate.
Yeah, I get it. I feel comfortable with this as a good solution. I think you get better data about which volunteers are able to, to respond quickly. I mean, you'll have all that data, so that, and you'll all get informed quickly that you need to, if you can, you'll be somewhere. And that's good.
And the good thing about this is if the tone system goes down at the PD, they can go to the computer and type it into us. So
Yep.
we have a secondary alert system.
Sounds great.
Matthew. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, and it's a good enhancement to have for our emergency planning plans.
Yeah. Are we ready to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to, well, I want to hear what is the request?
The motion would be to approve, I have it written already. A motion to approve the purchase of the new fire department app using the fire department communications fund for a cost of $1,200. That make sense?
And if you wanted to put in the minutes, the company is Fluent IMS.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll make that motion. Or
I'll
second.
second.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, good. All in favor?
Aye.
Oops, hold
Right.
on. Somebody's not
So-
in the waiting room.
I
Go ahead, Ed.
have a question on the 23-24 budget. It says you guys have 4,000 in there for that.
Ed, I don't have it in front of me. I don't.
Okay. No, I had the book here. That's why I was asking.
I could, no, my book is downstairs. So what is the question? We can look up some information for you.
Well, no, I see that there's going to be $4,000 in there in 23 and 24. That should cover the change of the,
In communications?
in communications.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so take that into account, make a note for your ledger and allocate, 1,100 plus whatever the communication shift is from that.
With 2,500 next
Yeah.
year for the.
Yeah, so you should have both next year's Fluent IMS as well as the channel change coming.
Right. And there, like I said, in the 23-24 budget, that should more than cover doing it. So we shouldn't have to, there should be some left in that.
Good to hear.
Okay, good. Ed, I have only one other question, and this is in Doug's email when he sent, at your request, sent the estimate to us. And he said that you and he were discussing training budget, that the training budget is already spent, but you have training costs coming up, and that you will explain.
Yes, the cost of training has gone up substantially, just like everything else. I have 2 fire schools that are coming up. And I know that Lake Perrin, or what was it, I got an email about that there's $2,300 and $50 donation coming in for the
Mhm.
fire department. I'd like to use that for the fire schools. I have 4 that are going to Twin State, and then 5 that are going to Bennington County Mutual Aid, which is in Rutland, and the other one is up in Rygate.
So, okay, you said 4 going to Twin State and 5 going to where?
Bennington County Mutual Aid, which is a Rutland Regional Fire School up in Rutland.
Okay,
So, and the classes are $200 per weekend for the
Okay.
4. So that's 8 plus rooms, which is 600. And then the feed them, we give them $50, which is 200, which comes to 1,600 for the one in Tri-State.
uh-huh,
The Southern Vermont Regional, that's $100 per day, which is 600 for the 6 for the weekend. The rooms are 600 and the food is 3, so that comes to 15.
okay,
And then
So-
Rygate,
Rygate that's the top one. So the total is 3,100.
okay.
If we use the 2350 for that, then we will raise the rest of it.
Okay, but in that email, Doug had also mentioned that you and he talked about reserving that for gear. And the donors, the round table, thought that that was being raised for the necessary gear that we don't have.
Well, the gear all came in, so we have that now.
But next year, remember, we could only get certain amounts of sets because of the budget.
Oh, yes. I mean, unless you have it somewhere else, I was just.
No, we don't. That's
Yeah.
what we're asking you. So how about this? Doug also said that something about, I'm trying to read this, that you could tell us how often people have to go to these schools. The last time these 9 individuals, have they ever gone to training to the fire schools? If so, when did they, and what's the requirements for people to have this training?
Let's see, 2 of them have went before. They're they have to recertify on SCBA
And how often is a recertification necessary?
twice a year.
So 2 times a year, every member has to go to one of these fire schools?
Not every member. Interior guys.
So twice a year, every interior.
Interior people have to have more training than exterior people.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
Would
And
you be,
how many interior do we have again?
8.
okay. And then there's 9 here, so somebody else is going.
Yeah, there's 10.
There's 8 or 10.
There's 10. There's 6 going to Bennington County and 4 going to,
I thought you said 5.
Whatever.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I did.
No problem. So there's 10
Four,
people
okay.
going, but we only have 8 interior guys?
Right, but the other people are, let me pull the sheet. One is going to be recertified in flammable gas,
Okay,
which you have to have hazmat.
I'm just
Engine company
wondering,
operations,
Yeah.
there's a whole list that people are taking that they have
I'm
to have. Yep.
wondering if, in the interest of time and for today, since none of us, really had any information on this, is this something that can wait one more meeting? And you could provide the trustees with a list of all your 20 or 30 folks, what they do, and what trainings are required. So again, we could look into the future and know that if we have to do this twice a year, for who, then that we can really look ahead and make sure that we budget adequately.
Yeah, I mean, the Rutland Regional one is less than, it's on April 15th and 16th, so.
Can I make a proposal?
Please.
I think that, obviously training is, extremely important for the safety of the firefighters and the people they might be, saving. These are smaller numbers that I'm not so concerned about. And I just want, you know, if the roundtable at least can agree that it's okay to use the funds for that purpose, because they raised it and they're giving it to the fire department. And I think they would, that I think that that's really, that's fine. And I think they have to go to training. I think that Ed is aware that, you know, we don't need to train people to do things that I mean, we're not in a position to be training people to do things they're not going to be faced with. But I think it's a no-brainer that these guys and gals are going to training, and it's going to get paid for. And it's small potatoes after the last 2 years, right?
What was your proposal and all that, Matt?
My proposal is to, I don't know that he's asking for, I don't know that he needs our permission to spend money on training necessarily at this point. Obviously, he would need, it'd be nice if we got that all wrapped up into a nice package, you know, in the annual budget that we were aware of. But I'm not going to step into Ed's wheelhouse here. We're not talking about a lot of money. Let's get these guys trained. And
Ed, is there a fund right now
Matthew-
for training?
Matthew Perry would like to make a comment, and Matthew is part of the roundtable. Matthew, please comment.
There you go.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and say that when I said gear, that was something that came up, you know, I think last year when we first met with the fire department. But the money from the roundtable, I feel like I can speak on behalf of everyone that the money is for the fire department to do what they need to do. So.
Okay, that's fine. I did not know that, nor did I want to step on something that maybe somebody thought was restricted. So then I would agree with you, Matthew. It's just a no-brainer. Ed, go ahead, sign everybody up.
yeah, get that done. But just keep in mind, Ed, that, you know, next year, this has got to be part of the budget plan. If this is stuff that's happening on a yearly basis, twice a year for some people, we just need to be aware of it so we know how to budget for it.
I do think if you can, Ed, we'd love to have that information anyway, so we know how many people are getting trained and how often they need to get trained, and you know, we can boast about it, or we can get everyone trained really appropriately. Plus, we just want to know how the fire department works. So
Right. No, I can do that. I will get copies and get it all to you guys. I'll actually, I'll take some pictures and bring them up so you can see how the training works when we go there.
We'd
And how
love
the
to
money
put
is
that on our
being-
website.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and how the training's going, and then you can see what it's really like and
Yeah,
why it costs so much to go to training.
and let's put that on our website and brag it up.
Okay. All right. All right. So
Okay, thank you.
I'll get a hold of them and I'll get these people signed up for the classes. Is there anything else you guys have?
Nope.
Okay.
Ed, thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Our elections are Monday, and I will inform you guys of the chiefs and the assistants. Okay.
Ed, thanks for taking the jump into the Zoom world.
Yeah.
Ain't so bad, is it?
No,
mean,
actually, I'm gonna be doing this from home from now on.
Yeah, there you go.
Alrighty.
Thanks,
All right,
buddy.
take
Nothing
care.
else for me?
Nope.
No, thank you.
Have a good night,
Alrighty.
Ted.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye.
I am going to forego a treasurer's report since the treasurer is not here. I'm not going to speak for him, and we are going to go directly, not too much later than I thought, to Matthew Perry, who is going to be speaking on Vermont Arts Exchange's request for ARPA monies for handicap accessible bathroom. I am going to, Matthew, see if I can go and allow you to share your screen. Matthew's going to share a screen with us. And we also have Bob Howe and Jason Dolmetsch available to answer questions since this is Sage City Syndicate's business. Now, let me look here. Make co-host. Okay, I know if I make you a co-host, you should be able to share your screen. Take it
Okay,
away.
thanks, Mary. Well, thank you guys for this, and I'm going to. So I think there was 50,000 that we were hoping to utilize from ARPA funds to make our facility that we lease at 48 Main Street handicapped accessible. We've been, for the 29 years that we've been in the village, 22 years of that, we were fully accessible at the mill. And actually, through the community development block grant, brought that building up to code, which was great with the help of the village. So for the past 7 years, we've been behind the post office, and we have not been handicapped accessible. And it affects us in two ways. One is we have a problem with our participants coming in with wheelchairs. Our bathrooms not accessible, and our doorways are very difficult to get in and out of. And the second one is the grants and the funders. They like to, more than ever these days, accessibility is a pretty important issue. I'm going to show you a picture right now. Do you see this?
You
No,
have to
I'm
share your
not
screen.
seeing it.
Oh, I have to share my screen. That
Yes.
would make sense. Oh boy.
Touch the screen, and then it should have share content at the top, and you click on that.
Or mine has a little green share screen button at the bottom.
There you go, depending on your device.
I have to, I have so many things open. You have to open up everything on your screen.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Okay. So let me get to the photos. Oh, God. All right, I'm gonna. Okay. So you're seeing everything I'm pulling up?
No.
Okay.
Can you make your screen a bit?
There
Yes.
you go.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
that's good.
So you see this photo?
Yes.
Okay. I just have to get rid of you guys, nothing personal. There we go. Okay, so this is how we deal with it now. We open up our door, and on a day like today, you can imagine, the cold air that comes in.
Yeah.
So we also have a doorway that needs some SurePack, and it needs to be leveling up, but that's not the worst of it. In this photo here, I don't know how long. Right. So in this photo here, this group shot, if you see my cursor, this is the bathroom right here.
Oh,
And this is one step up. So the bathroom was built on a platform. And so you can't get up this step and then you go another step. So there's 2 steps up into the bathroom. So that is the current situation. And what I do right now is this is a question on a recent grant application last year. And it says, how do you increase the accessibility of your programs? This is a standard question on all the Arts Council or federal money that we've been getting lately. List and describe how your organization assists people with various disabilities to have meaningful access to programs and services. Include specific information about physical access to your facility, parking, ramps, elevators, bathrooms, the extent of your programmatic access, large print, ASL, interpreters, and you know, all of that. So basically, I answer that question, you know, saying that a lot of our work is in healthcare facilities, it's residential schools, public and private. We do work in museums and hospitals, and they're all accessible facilities. When the art bus is active outdoors, that we're accessible at ground level. And a lot of this, I am kind of skirting around the issue, but I'm being honest. And then in the end here, I do say that our home headquarters has a ground level access, but not an accessible bathroom. And we are working on a plan for that. I've been saying that for 7 years now, and we have the Vermont Arts Council has assigned us an ADA coordinator to work with us on it. And we touch base with them every year, and we just say that we're working on it, and we really need to do something serious about it. So that where we are now with the possibility of the ARPA money, we have a demo plan from Goldstone Architecture that we've been working with lately, and we're going to be presenting this. We don't have any hard numbers, but we're presenting this to some contractors. This is the demo plan of taking out some of the walls and taking out the existing sink and toilet, the existing bathroom coming out, and then we would be putting in the proposed plan right here.
If you're
And
sharing that, we're not seeing it.
I'm sure you're not seeing it.
No.
Okay,
You gotta share again.
I gotta share again. Okay.
There.
So this is what we would be doing with the money. And as you see, we're keeping the storage area here, the studio space, and moving the sink over to the right. I mean, we're obviously cutting into our small, if you've ever been in the space, I think it's 900 square feet. And, you know, we realize that we're going to be cutting in, you know, making the space a little bit smaller, but it is going to work really well because, you know, it'll be accessible. And over here, you note it says that there'll be a SurePack walkway. So in the wintertime, we don't have to open the door. We can just come right in the door like everyone else and have a ground floor accessible bathroom. And then outside, there's not a plan for it, but it's basically a designated handicap spot that we'll create and get a sign for.
Good.
So
Parking spot.
that's where we're at.
Is there a number value on that project right now?
You know, that's the one number I don't have. I'm early on when I mentioned 50,000 to Goldstone Architects, they were like, "Oh, we really think we could do it, you know, within that range." I'm not sure. I do have a plan that if we need more money, there's a cultural facilities grant coming up that we could apply for. The only problem is we can't start construction until September on that. And we want to get going on this, you know, right away. at least, the demolition and the construction part of it.
Well, I will tell you, just so you know, at the moment, we have $40,000 remaining in our unallocated ARPA funds. Because of a number of budget things that happened when we were doing all of our budget planning, we ended up using, well, we actually cut another person's request by a little bit, and then we ended up having to use some of the village's ARPA monies for some village projects. So there remained unallocated at the moment $40,000. I will say that, and those of you who remember, when a number of folks spoke up at our last year's annual meeting for various uses of ARPA funds, Matthew did speak about his project then, and it was roundly supported, enthusiastically so, by the public who was attending. I doubt that that situation would change.
Agreed.
Well, so what you're saying, Mary, is that right now we're willing to commit as a board 40 and maybe find, I mean, I would be in support of trying to find another 10.
Well, we couldn't find it, Matthew. We don't have ARPA. This is it for
No,
our
I know,
ARPA.
not, I don't mean in
Okay,
ARPA.
okay.
I mean in
Oh.
community match or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I guess until we have numbers, my experience with these projects is, and no offense to Jason or Goldstone, I anticipate those numbers going north, which is, concerning, but again, maybe Matt, with some of these other possibilities you have, we can put this all together and make it happen. I think it's very important from the ADA standpoint, and for the standpoint of you being able to get further grants because you're compliant with with these regulations. So what is Matthew Perry asking tonight? A commitment of what we have available?
Yeah, I mean, I, probably would ask for the 40 before it drops down to 30 or so, it has the, I understand that the money's there and things are, it's very live right now. So, and you're right. I mean, it could be more, I'm not sure. We're not, we're trying to do this in a way where we're not digging up the cement and putting in pipe, we're not digging into the foundation. They've already done that to put the pump in and all that, and there's no digging up of the lawn or, we're trying to design this to be as easy as possible. But everything is also twice or more expensive than, so.
It's too bad that building's built into the hillside there. It limits your ability to expand. Well, I guess you probably couldn't do too much more to the north.
We've looked at a lot of different, over the years, we've looked at, putting another building up and, on the site of the old blacksmith shop. And we've looked at adding on to this and, how can we've looked at adding on a bathroom, how would that look, and how that would work. But this right now seems like the best situation, for us in the future. And for the community, we use it for the sculpture show and, more and more use that we see using it.
Mary, was there any other, is Matt, is VAE late to the party here? I mean, I know they weren't late to the party, but I mean, did we allocate further funds to them?
No, we had been, when nobody else ever came forward to ask for funds. And then when we were doing our budget, that's when we noticed that we could very easily justify use of ARPA funds for certain very specific of our village projects. The speed monitor, there's two things with public safety, and then the records review and the digitization of such. That's a prime use, actually, of ARPA funds, and we're actually putting a scant amount into this in terms of what would really be needed for true digitization, but it's a start. And then this is what's that left. So I guess, yes, if VAE had come a year ago and said, here's our firm plans and here's what we need to do next, there wouldn't have been money for the budgeted projects that need to happen.
Yep. So, but you're saying that we are putting some of that money towards these other purposes and there's 40 left.
There is 40, yes. We did withhold, there were two other organizations that asked for bigger allocations than we actually ended up giving them. Parent Recreations asked for $108,000 and we ended up granting $68,000. And then Park McCullough asked for 25 and we allocated 20. Those are already done projects and approved funds. We never, the trustees never had a proposal such as this today, but for the $40,000. But
Right.
yes, that $40,000 has been sitting here waiting for
Well, I want to,
VAE to come up with a plan.
I want to make a motion to commit that last 40 to VAE. And then we'll figure out how they're going to handle the other, the additional expense.
Yeah.
But this has to happen, and that's where I stand on it.
Second that.
So
Yeah, so do we have a motion?
yes, we have a motion by Matthew and a second by Scott
Okay, thank you.
to allocate $40,000 remaining ARPA funds to the VAE project.
Got it.
Thank you guys very much.
Yes.
And hold on, we do need to vote on that. So all in favor? Aye.
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 Matthew,
Okay, got that.
keep us up to date on a regular basis about what you
I
come
will.
up with final costs, and then,
Mhm.
Why don't I, since I've been working with Mary, I'll communicate with Mary and have her send it
You
out.
can do that, and I forward all information to the full board.
Yeah,
Matthew, my other question is the other funding source that you mentioned that wouldn't be available till
September.
September. Is it one of those deals where they'll give you the money, except they won't if you've already started the project?
Yeah, I think so. It's the Arts
Yep.
Council, and that's kind of the way they roll.
Yep.
I know that's what I was just thinking about was, how I could, but I can talk to them, and if they know that I've gotten some ARPA money and we're, the situation we're in. I mean, these days, a lot of our funders have loosened up a lot.
Yep.
COVID really kind of shook everybody, and everyone wants, everybody to kind of get what they need and get through, and we'll see. But
Yep.
I'll give it my best shot to see.
And Matthew, if you haven't already, at some point, check with Jenny Rosicki at the library. She is a wealth of knowledge on nonprofit grants, especially with the various arts things.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
humanities.
Yeah.
it could be very helpful in how to do this and how to break up your project sometimes, even if it's ongoing, to break it up so that
Right.
smaller components qualify for different type of things.
Right. Okay. Will do.
All right.
And I want to thank Jason and Bob for
Yes.
hanging in there and coming to the meeting tonight, guys. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you both. I should have asked if there were any questions from the board for those two, but I think in the interest of time, everyone wants to just go home. But thank you, Jason, and thank you, Bob, and thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Okay.
guys. Bye-bye.
All right. Good. So under our new business, or under our old business now, Matthew Patterson, I will let you know that, remember last year we had to go and do ARPA reporting?
Yes.
Yes. Well, that comes up again. So before the end of April, we have to do that. Last time, even though you had named me as one of the people that could, the whatever it is, authors, I couldn't get in. I'm going to try that, but you and I may need to sit together and fill out our next report. The next report that's due at the end of April, we have to list what funds have been spent, not allocated, but spent.
Mhm.
So at the moment, we have given away, distributed $342,394.
Can you say that again?
We have distributed, at this point, $342,394 of the total 508,469 that we received. And we have received all of this money. Doug and I just audited all, and we've got everything we were promised. So
Yeah, so we'll figure that out, Mary.
Yeah.
My other question is the opioid stuff. Have you been seeing those checks come in?
we have small checks at several $100s, and yes, I did call we got a letter with one, and I called the attorney who sent the funds out, and they said, oh, you need to get with your state, but they didn't know who in the state or what, because there are, depending on your state, restrictions on how you have to spend that money. We do have the Doug has copies of all the checks. I believe there was one for $113. There might have been another for about that. So we are not talking about
No, I know.
anything significant.
I think
But
maybe in the end, it's a couple thousand, but we might be restricted on how to spend it.
yes, we might be. And
Yeah.
I really am, what I will do is I will get a hold of VLCT and see what they advise looking for. Because I did talk to the attorney, and the one attorney said, you got to talk to somebody in your state. That was it. Not helpful. Any other questions on that, ARPA? We'll move along. The other thing that I wanted to just update everybody about was the potential grant opportunities. I talked about this at one time before, that the state had monies that were going to be allocated to municipalities for replacing fossil fuel systems, heating systems. This still is not out. I went to a seminar on this in Sunderland. Who knew? Well, it took me forever to find, but I did find it in there. And there will be a series of grants upcoming. None of them are written, none of them are out, but excitingly, one is, it's not big, it's for a maximum of $5,000, but we could potentially look for someone, perhaps in the village or not, who would want to act as basically the grant writer and the project coordinator for this. The next step is you need a energy audit, different than what we did before, because when we did that blower door test for our buildings back last September, we were told that you got to get this done because you'll need this for the grant, thinking that the grant was coming right up. Well, that's no longer the case. You need a different thing. There is a grant to apply for to cover that, which I'm sure we would get. The issue there is who is authorized or certified to do these tests and what are their schedules. Still awaiting that information. And the final part is getting the grant to either replace, update, or weatherize municipal buildings. The nice thing is that smaller municipalities such as North Bennington, you get more points in this grant for being smaller. So that's helpful. And they are looking for really to make an impact in Bennington County. So I will keep you apprised of this. As I said, none of the grants are available right now, or they're not, the applications are not out. BCRC will help with that. They will help us write the grant for free if we choose to do that. But we can look at that as a group and see what our options are for all three steps as we get closer to that.
Great.
Last thing I wanted to comment on was our annual meeting plans. Not the last thing, the third thing. We are going to have tabling available at our annual meeting with two things. Rob is going to help with the window dressers. We're going to have a sign-up sheet so people can do that. We're going to have one table with all kinds of energy efficiency materials. We will have materials from Efficiency Vermont. They've got a number of rebates for folks this year. Brock, which has huge help for those that might be fixed income people. And then we will also have Heat Squad / NeighborWorks with some of their programs, their rebates, and a $50 home energy audit, which is usually about $150 or so. So that's on one table. On another table, we will have materials for a kind of public service materials for hazard planning and emergency planning. One is a little booklet meant for families to go and do family planning in the event of emergencies. Another one is a sign-up sheet where people can register special needs or disabilities or whatever with the state hazard mitigation folks. Say people that have someone in their household with needs a wheelchair, or they need a service animal, or they're blind, or have some other disability, that in case of an emergency requiring evacuation, delivery of food, etc., those with special needs can be listed, and then say the fire department or whoever is responding to these emergencies also has access to that information and the special needs of various residents. So we'll have all of that available.
Nice.
I also wanted to know whether, as John Lamson tried to start or did start for the village some time ago, are we offering baked goods this time? Does anybody see a problem with that? Me being a baker, I like any opportunity to bake cookies.
No problem
I
here.
don't see a problem with it. As
you
long
don't
as it's not fingery food, cookies are great.
Yeah.
When it's a pie, people have to dig in.
Okay. Well, I will send out an email to all trustees and various other people that I think might be interested, that should they wish to bring some goodies to share, we can do that.
Do you want to state the date for our meeting?
Yes, that is Tuesday, March 21st, 7:30 at Park McCullough Carriage Barn.
Tuesday, March 31st.
We have a easel sign on that we're putting up now outside of the depot. That'll be out every day. It's on the village website, www.villagenorthbennington.org. Again, villagenorthbennington.org is the website. We do need to talk about at the next meeting, the Fidium Fiber consolidated meeting that several of us went to, that Zoom meeting where we talked about, and we now have a proposal for upgrading, improving our internet services in all locations, all 3 locations, firehouse, garage, and especially the depot. Apparently the router that we have there was back from the Stone Ages of routers being put in places. So that needs help. And that is one reason why we have poor and intermittent connection now at the depot. So we will get that. Doug was going to look to see if he could get a similar updated quote from, who is it now? Comcast. I don't know where we are with that, but we will look at that and hopefully be able to make an improvement on that by or before the next meeting. The final thing I wanted to note under old business is our annual local emergency management plan does have to be updated every year. That's coming up. That needs to be done before, I think, the 15th of April. So I will send out the current plan to everyone and we can have a short meeting, especially including Chief Harrington, so that we can get, and the water department, so that we can get that plan properly put in place. Rob,
I just have one quick question.
please.
There's rumors going around that there's some movement in the legislature about independent schools, which of course in North Bennington is one, and basically would affect it if this law came in. It seems to me that, again, the rumor is that the school would have to shut down. Now, is that something the trustees can get involved in, or is this something that goes through the North Bennington School District? I'm just curious.
I can speak to that,
Matthew, please take that.
Rob. So it would certainly is a concern of the North Bennington Grid School District, of which I'm vice chair. But it's already seems to have burnt out because it was so misguided.
Oh.
The proposals were trying to destroy a century-old tradition in Vermont such that 6 students in Vermont couldn't get tuition to go to a religious school.
Okay.
And that's what it boiled down to. I think there was 6 or 10 kids that actually were going to schools statewide asking for tuition. Maybe more than that. We had 2 in that first year when the Supreme Court made their what I would say misguided ruling. But there are other ways around this rather than looking for well, in fact, I think that the people who proposed the legislation to stop tuitioning to independent schools had ulterior motives that had nothing to do with the notion of state money going towards
Yeah.
and so the legislators have backed way off on that.
Okay. I don't want to take up the time for that. Because I'd like to speak with you later about that, but I
Yep,
know
be
everybody's
happy to.
tired. Yes.
Happy to.
Mary, do you want to tell Rob real quick? You said at the beginning that you're going to tell him at the end that we had a new piece of information regarding the traffic.
You for that reminder. Yes. So Norm and I had a meeting with Mark Anders of BCRC today.
Mhm.
BCRC has been extremely shorthanded most of this past year. But Norm and I are researching what it takes to set up a new stop sign in the village. Before this gets to its coming stage, we need a lot of research. There are quite a few hoops that you need to jump through before you put a stop sign anywhere. We are looking at a stop sign on Houghton Street, specifically to slow traffic around the skate park area. That's one thing that Norm and I can work on. It's not a quick process, and it's somewhat involved, but we're starting that one. The second thing is that it won't be here until June, but before the end of June, we will have a draft from BCRC on a number of options for Main Street from Left Bank down to Library Pangea and that big intersection down in there, and then traffic coming into the area. We're going to look at, let's look at all possible options and the pros and cons of each. So that, and I will also say that both Doug and I do believe that there is more police presence and more enforcement going on. Doug now sees every month checks coming through the state for our portion of traffic fines. These are not huge amounts of money, but we used to get maybe $100 a year. Now we're getting probably $100 every quarter, if not a lot more. So it may not be as visible as, we would always wish. We're never going to get to zero, but we have not forgotten about the issues.
I remember there was some discussion about y'all meeting with, and maybe Tara and Doug did, meeting with the sheriff.
We haven't set it up yet, but we are going to meet with Sheriff Gully about our needs.
I'll just put forth a cautionary tale there. It's probably been 15 years ago. No, it was after 9/11, there were grants available for us to hire the sheriff's department for traffic control and more coverage in the village. And our experience, frankly, and that of other towns, and this doesn't reflect negatively in any way on the current sheriff department or whatever, but because this was a long time ago. But once we signed contracts with them for, I think we may have done it for 2 years. The policing presence dried up rather quickly. Once the money had, and again, they're small departments and they're spread pretty thin. And when there was all this money out there, they, as you would expect, went after it, and then still had the same size department and didn't really. There was that little blip in the revenues related to traffic fines and all that, and then nothing. So that's just my historical perspective on that.
Well, I think I've been in contact with some of the people in Pownell because they're looking at other options themselves. I think for that very reason that the coverage is not, they don't feel that they're getting their money's worth, basically. And when I hear people say there's much more presence in the town here, I mean, I just see on my street, I don't notice any difference.
They were sitting up on Church Street one day and pulling over everyone that rolled the stop between Park West and Church, that intersection in front of Park McCullough. How do I know this?
Because you got stopped.
Oh, yeah.
Busted, yeah.
And he said he pulled over so many people that day.
I've seen more activity.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but
At any rate, we are still working on that. These are slow projects, but we'll get a good idea when we start looking at a lot of ideas.
Is there any other group we can go to besides BCRC that might be able to do a traffic study?
Nope, not that we're going to. I mean, I don't know, first of all, I don't know of anybody that would, I don't mean to be flip, but we have the traffic studies. One of the things that we're toying with is, you know, taking some of these small steps, doing something, and then doing a traffic study, say 6 weeks before, 3 weeks before, and 3 weeks after, and then we can be able to start doing, I wouldn't say experimental, but we can do some small steps here and there, and then see what the result of those is before we do something else. And you know, well, anyway, we're just wanted our public to know we're looking at it, and it's not far from mind. Any other questions, concerns, or comments? Tara, do you need anything else for your notes?
I don't. I need a motion to adjourn. Unless we have an executive session.
We do not have an executive session. I think there's a motion by Scott, and I thought I saw a second by Matthew. All in favor? Cancel your Zoom.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, again, we will see everyone that we can on the 21st of March at 7:30 at the Park McCullough Carriage Barn. And then the next trustee meeting after that is, give me a sec, will be April 11th.
Okay.
If we get our internet back, we'll be at the depot. If not, it may be Zoom again. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
I'll send this to Lori.
Thank you.